we want to talk about budgeting. Yay! Hi guys, welcome back to Robertson's Belly Acres. Today is Tidbit Tuesday, and we're going to kind of switch gears just a little bit here. We want to talk about budgeting. Yay! Okay, so I have a huge background in banking. I was a banker for 12 years. I was a personal banker for probably about 6 of those years if you combine them in the different aspects where I was, different positions that I held. So, personal banker for about 6 years. Budgeting excites me. I'm kind of a nerd that way. Spreadsheets excite me. Um, I'm going to do just a very basic budgeting thing today because normally I would get on the computer and build some spreadsheets and we'd talk about ratios and we'd talk about all kinds of stuff, but I am not about to overwhelm anybody with all my nerdy gibberish. So we are going to actually take something very simplified and we're following a Dave Ramsey type thing. We're going to talk about envelopes. Believe it or not, this actually does work. I have Russ and we went on what we called a debt diet a few years ago to get out of debt, and for the time that we did it, it was just phenomenal. But I'm not going to get into the snowball effect, and I'm not going to get into any of that because I don't want to overwhelm anybody. I just want to talk about basic budgeting. So we'll just delve right in, okay? Okay, believe you me, I am the first one that likes to go to an office supply store and buy all the cool, pretty pins and the $20 planners and all this stuff. I love that. I love that. I get in trouble in the office supply stores. So I have learned to try to stay away from them. If it motivates you to schedule or to budget better, go buy some pretty pins. I mean, there's no crime in it. But if you are living paycheck to paycheck and all you want to do is get on track, you don't have to spend a lot of money, okay? So here's a little 2020 planner with pretty little llamas on it. And got this at the dollar store at Dollar General for $1. It doesn't have anything fancy in it. It has just a calendar that you can write in. It has, and then where you can put notes on the sides. So nothing fancy, but it's going to work because I just want you to see that you don't have to spend a lot of money to be able to get on budget. I have a plain steno pad, loose leaf paper in a binder, 50 something cent spiral notebook. Anything works. You can see this is a used one. I've used it for a lot of things. So that can work as well. We do have a big manila envelope that we can put all our small envelopes in, and even the envelopes, guys. Okay, some people call this hoarder tendencies, but it's not. Every medical bill that you ever get, or electric bill or utility bill, if anybody still gets those in the paper form, you get a return envelope. Okay, half the time you don't use them because if you're like me, you pay for everything online. So you have all these envelopes. I save them because if I have to make a deposit or even sending out invoices for our business, I just use these. They have windows. If you have a business and you try to order these things, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous how much they cost to have a window so that you can put your little invoice in. But anyway, it saves you from having to buy envelopes. I know envelopes aren't expensive, but like I said, if you're on a budget, hey, save these things because they're good for a whole lot of stuff. Okay, so we're going to use these free envelopes that I got out of the mail. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so first what we're going to start with is kind of a debt to income ratio. Just, I know that sounds intimidating. I don't mean it as an intimidation. I just mean that for every person has an income that they receive, and every person has a debt amount that goes out every month. So what I normally start with is I just draw a straight line. Okay, as straight as you can get it. It doesn't have to be straight. Just divide your paper. And you're going to say income on one side and expense on the other. Okay? All this does for me is it makes me keep track of what bills are due and when they're due and how much they are and how much money I get and when I get paid every month. So I do this just so that it doesn't overwhelm me. Okay? So obviously everybody knows when payday is. Okay? Well, except for us because we're self-employed. So I'm not going to base this off of our income just because our income is so sporadic and it would just confuse people. So let's base this on a regular pay, say bi-monthly. So, well, let's say every 2 weeks. So what we're going to do is we're going to open our planner and we're going to go straight to January. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Okay, so January. Let's say you get paid every Friday, okay? So every other Friday. So let's say you're going to get paid on the 3rd, the 17th, and the 31st. That's great because that's an extra paycheck this month, and we can talk about that too. Yeah. So what you'll do is you'll go in and you will put payday on all of your paydays, okay? And you can actually take this opportunity to go through and see you got paid on the 31st. You won't get paid again till the 14th. So you can go through and write down all your paydays. This is when the fun gel colors, gel pens come in handy. I like to make things very, very colorful. I don't have my planner up here for my chores and stuff, but if I did, I'd show you. I like to do that. But you can color code things. I mean, it just depends on how fancy you want to get. But for right now, we're just going to use this pen, and we're going to say payday. So we've broken up your paydays, okay? So we're figuring in for January right now, okay? So January. Okay. So we know by looking at our calendar that you're going to get paid on the 3rd, the 17th, and the 31st. So over here, you're going to say the 3rd, the 13th, 17th, and the 31st. 17th and the 31st. Okay, so we've written that down over here in this column. I'll just kind of turn that way. Okay, so now let's say that you bring home, not counting overtime. We'll talk about overtime here in a second. Not counting overtime on a regular pay. Okay, so we got the income. Like I said, we're just basing this off of a base income. This is a mock budget based off of kind of what my kids go through. That are out on their own, okay? So we're going to base this off of a 12-hour a week pay, $12 an hour job. I went with $12 an hour. Around here, normally it's $10 to $12 an hour is normal. I know some states are $15 an hour for the minimum wage, but we are in a lot. Our minimum wage is still $7.25, I believe. So, our cost of living is a lot lower, but so I wouldn't know how to base it off of some, another state. So we're going to go off of $12 an hour. It's a good middle ground. Okay. So after taxes, I figured it in at 20% taxes, which it's usually lower than that if you are single and claiming zero dependents. It's going on your W-4, so it's going to be a lot lower than 20%. But let's go at 20% just so that we get a good base, okay? So we went through and on our calendar, we went through and we marked all of our paydays. And then I went through and I kind of did a mock bills, and I spread them out throughout the month, because that is the way it is in real life. Nothing is due. It's not like everything's due at the first of the month or everything's due at the end of the month. It is throughout the month. So I went through and I wrote down when things are due, and I kind of based it off of, when our payments are due or when my son's payments are due. The electric bill, both my son and daughter both had to pay as they go. And I think that's becoming more of a trend nowadays with the electric companies. They charge a really high deposit for people that don't have any kind of credit, because they want them to pay as they go instead of paying by the month. So the way that works, it's my son's, he lives in, his house is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath trailer house, and it runs him right around $25 a week. That's a little bit of a cushion so that it never gets shut off. So I base that off of that, $25 a week there. So, and then everything else is pretty standard. Rent at $400 a month. I did write in rental insurance. If you are renting, it's worth the $20 or so a month to get rental insurance, because here's something to think about. If the dwelling that you are living in burns down in the state of Oklahoma, I'm not sure about any other state, but if it does burn down, it is not your landlord's responsibility to replace your belongings. So just for peace of mind, I mean, if it burns, if there's a flood, if there's a tornado, whatever, that $20 is going to cover your personal belongings. And we can get into that on another video, but keeping track of serial numbers and taking pictures and keeping digital records, that's a very good idea of your assets. Even things that you think that are not, worth putting down. I mean, that TV that you got for graduation, write that down. Anyway, that's a whole other video. So I did add in renter's insurance. I have a gas bill, a city bill, a car payment, a Wi-Fi bill or an internet bill, car insurance, a phone bill. So I kind of got it, tried to get it as balanced and as, not normal, but I can't think of the word. But, try to get it as realistic, there you go, as possible. Okay, so what we started with a while ago, saying debt to income or income versus expense, we started it on a monthly. And the reason I do monthly first is because I want to see as a whole where we're going to sit at the end of the month. And then I'll break it down into the weeks, okay? So we know that on 12 hours, $12 an hour, after 20% taxes, it's going to get us right at $768 bring home every 2 weeks, okay? And then in January, we get that bonus extra week, and it looks like a bonus. You guys do not blow this $768, because I'm going to show you why that is important. Even though it's like, oh, it's a bonus check, you're going to need that check, and I'll show you why in a second. So we know on a normal month, you're going to bring home $1,536. So I wrote that down there. Okay, so then I came over here, and on the expenses, I wrote the date that it's due, and then I wrote to whom the bill is paid, and then I wrote the amount over here. So if you look at the whole month, your regular expenses, the ones that don't change, that are due every month, is $1,080. and you are bringing home $1,536. That is leaving you $456. Okay, that is not $456. Woohoo, let's go party. That is $456 that you need to divide up into 4 categories. And I say 4 because these are the important things that you need to think about and budget for. Okay? You have an emergency budget and an entertainment budget. These 2 are going to be figured in after we figure your fuel and your groceries, fuel and maintenance. And the reason I say fuel and maintenance is because if you have a vehicle, you are going to have to change oil, you're going to have to change windshield wipers. Help me out, Rusty. What else is normal maintenance? Tires. There's all kinds of things that you have to think about when you own a vehicle that you need to budget for, because if you don't, you're going to be walking. So you also need to think about your fuel and your groceries. You guys, learn how to cook, even basic skills. Learn how to do some stuff at home, because I know it's great and you think, I'm by myself, I'll just buy everything frozen. Our daughter thought that when she first moved out, and she learned very quickly that frozen ready-made meals or eating out all the time gets very, very expensive very, very fast, and even just for her. So here's how we figured it up. Fuel and maintenance, we're saying $50 a week, okay? That's $200 a month. $50 a week is more than enough fuel money if you're not running around a lot. You're just going to work and coming home and, maybe going to a movie or something, but you're not just driving crazily all over the place. And that leaves extra money that will be set back for, all of those maintenance things that we talked about. Groceries, we figured it at $25 a week. That's $100 a month. You guys, $25 a week can get you enough groceries to feed yourself very comfortably for a week. If you do not know how to cook, get on YouTube and learn some of the basic skills. You can buy a lot of beans and rice for $25 a week. And I'm not saying that's all you're going to eat on $25 a week, but just learn the basic stuff because it will save you in the long run. So if we take that $200 out for fuel and maintenance and $100 out for groceries, that is going to leave us with $156. So what we're going to do with that $156 is we are going to divide it by 2, $78 for entertainment and $78 for emergency. Now, mind you, this is for the entire month, okay? This emergency fund is, it's very important because this time of year especially, the flu is going around like crazy over here right now. So let's say that you can't go to work for 3 days this week. Your check is going to be short 3 days worth. That $78 is going to come in handy. That's going to help you a lot. And there's all kinds of things. A blowout on a tire. There's all kinds of emergencies that could come up that you would need this. If you get sick and you need to go to the doctor, then you've got that to cover you. And I know I did not put in the budget health insurance because hopefully you're still being carried by your parent for a couple of more years, but that is something that you're going to have to think about in the future is carrying some health insurance. Okay, so we have this bonus check. Woohoo, an extra $768. In actuality, when you look at this, your third check in January comes on the very last day of January. So guess what that means for that check? That check comes in on the last day, and you don't get paid again until February 14th. So I know it looks like a bonus check, but in actuality, that check is there to cover rent and the next 2 weeks until you get paid again on the 14th. So it's not a check to blow. It's a check that, yes, you're going to have a little bit extra left over than you normally would, but you need that check for this next, for the beginning of the next month. So don't get confused by that. That's why having a calendar is very important, because then you can see that. If you visually see that you are getting paid on the last day of the month and that you are not getting paid again till the 14th, you can see all the bills. You know, if you came in and wrote in your bills, what is going to be due before you get paid again. So don't get clouded and excited. I know there's a lot of talk in the office about, ooh, an extra check this week. Just remember that that extra check, it has to cover until you get paid again. So it's very exciting. Yes, it is it's an extra check, and I'll show you the breakdown on that. You have an extra 768, but you're going to have to cover 2 weeks for fuel. You're going to have to cover 2 weeks for groceries, 2 weeks for electricity. You have to cover your rent. You have to cover your rental insurance, and you have to cover your gas bill. Those are all due before you get paid again. So that's going to leave you $108 that you can either put in emergency, or you can split up between emergency and entertainment. If you budget correctly and, take that and split it, instead of putting it all in emergency, split it and treat yourself, to a new outfit, or taking your buddies out for pizza, or whatever it is. Here's a tip on the fuel cost. If you are commuting to a different town, and you have people that live in the same town you do, carpool. Make friends and carpool, because it's a lot cheaper if you can share the cost with somebody. Okay, if we budgeted correctly in our monthly budget, our weekly or bi-monthly or bi-weekly budgets should come out to zero every time. So let's look at this. What we did is we broke it up. We know that we're getting paid January 3rd. And the way I'm doing this, I'm saying, hey, you're getting your first paycheck January 3rd, even though your rent is due on January 1st and your rental insurance is due also on January 1st. You're not going to pay it till the 3rd, because this is your first payday, okay? It should not be late at that point. You usually have at least a 5-day grace period, but don't count on that, okay? So your payday is January 3rd and you made $768. You automatically pay your rent. That's $400, leaving you $368. You pay your rental insurance, $20, leaves you $348. You pay your electric bill for the week is $25. The way my son and my daughter had to do it, they had to log into an app or something, and you pay it through an app. $323. Then you have your fuel and maintenance. You take that $100 out. As soon as you get your check, you go to the bank, take that $100 out, put it in your envelope. And I'll show you the envelopes in a second. Then your groceries the same way. You're going to cover 2 weeks as well. So you take the $50 out. That leaves you $173. Then your emergency fund, you're going to take, at the beginning, the first 2 weeks, you have a lot more bills than the second 2 weeks. So you're only getting $29 for emergency and $29 for entertainment that first half of the month. That is for the first 2 weeks, because you have a lot more bills, okay? So even though it's $78 for the month, you can only take out $29 because you have a lot more bills, a lot more expensive bills at the first of the month. And that's what you have to kind of figure out. So that's why I usually add in emergency and entertainment at the very end. Okay, so then your gas bill is $40. That's going to leave you at $75. Then you put another $25 on your electric the following Friday. The Friday that, so you got paid on the 3rd. So this next, the 10th, you're going to put another $25. What you can do is you can put the $50 on there on this day and then not worry about it the next week. But however you want to do it, just make sure you have that money for the electric bill. Okay, and then So that leaves you with $50, and then you have your city bill or your water bill or whatever it is, and it's $50, and that leaves you zero. So we budgeted correctly there, okay? So for weeks 3 and 4, same thing. You bring forward your zero. If you would have had anything left, you would have brought it over. Then January 17th, you're getting paid again. So there's January 17th is another payday. You have your replenished $768 again. Woohoo! Then your electric bill is $25 that Friday. Your gas and maintenance for another 2 weeks is $100. Your groceries is $50. Your emergency fund. Now, if you notice, your emergency fund is now $49 and your entertainment is $49. So it's $78 each, but you had to budget it correctly because you know the first 2 weeks you have a lot higher bills than the second 2 weeks. So now the second 2 weeks, that's when you can plan your party, right? You can go out a little more the second 2 weeks. Just remember that there's a reward, okay? You have that extra, $20 or whatever that you can go out with. You can also use the entertainment money for a new outfit if you'd rather do that. You're not much of a go out kind of person, order in Chinese but buy you an outfit, that kind of thing. Your car payment is $200. That leaves you $295. Your internet is $40. So that leaves you $255. And then you have your car insurance, $170. Leaves you $85. And your phone bill is $60. That leaves you $25. And then you pay your other electric bill on that next Friday that you haven't got paid. And guess what? That leaves you with zero. So we budgeted correctly. Now let's talk about the bonus check. Woohoo, the bonus check. And you're going to hear a lot of people at work talking about, ooh, we get a bonus check this week. Don't let that fool you. You still have to budget that, okay? Because, like I said, you get paid the very last day of the month. You're not going to get paid again until the 14th. So you are going to have a little bit of extra, and I'll show you that here in a second. So your payday, that's the bonus check, $768. Woohoo! That is not go out and party money. That is going ahead and budgeting for the next 2 weeks because it's going to be a while before you get paid again. So you got fuel and maintenance, $100. Then your groceries, $50. Your electric bill's $25. Same stuff. But then you have to pay your rent on February 1st because you don't get paid again until February 14th. So you pay your rent, you have $193 left over. You pay your gas bill, you have $153. You pay electric again, and then you pay, and then you have entertainment. Now look, you have $51.50 that you can put in your entertainment envelope, and you have $51.50 you can put in your emergency envelope, and guess what? No more. It's zero. Zero, zero, zero. Okay? Okay, so you kind of saw how the budgeting works and how the money flows, and if you're budgeting correctly, you're ending with zero. Like I said, always figure in your entertainment and emergency last after you've figured all your bills. Now let's talk about the envelopes. So most of my bills come out of like automatic withdrawals, most of my bills, and if not, I pay them online, so I don't actually need cash for it. But if you do have something you pay, like my son pays his mortgage cash, or money order is what he does because he doesn't have checks. He goes and buys a money order. So if you're going to do that, you pay something with cash, make yourself an envelope and it says bills. And again, this is where you can color code if you want to and be really fancy and have the little fancy pins. But if you don't, it's okay. Normal, free envelope, write bills on it. Put the money in there that you have figured over here for the first 2 weeks or the second, whatever you're in. So whatever bills that you have here, once it adds up, that do not come out on automatic, put it in here. Okay? Then you have fuel and maintenance. You know, every paycheck you're going to put, according to this, you're going to put $100 up for fuel and maintenance for the 2 weeks. So get yourself $100 at the bank in 20s or 10s or however you want to, and put it in here. I wouldn't get a $100 bill, because the problem with that is you will take the $100 bill out of this envelope and you'll never put the change back. So get 10s or 20s, put them in here. Every time you need fuel, you get your envelope, you take out however much you're going to put in, and you don't take anything else out unless it's for maintenance, for oil change or something. That's the only time you take money out of this. And at the end of 2 weeks, if you still have 20 bucks in there, bonus, leave it in there. Because I'm telling you, if you have a blowout or something, you're going to want that extra money, because otherwise you're coming up with, you know, anywhere from $150 to $200 to whatever you drive, trying to come up with the money to replace a tire, if not 2 tires. You know, it's ridiculous. I'm telling you, it becomes an emergency very, very fast. So if you have $10 or $20 left in here after the 2 weeks, do not take it out and spend it on something. Leave it in there. Just let this sucker build. If you're using all of the money that you're putting aside for gas, it's either time to reevaluate how much you're running, or you need to adjust your budget. Okay? Then you have groceries. Same thing. Put your grocery money in here. I mean, break it up into 10s and 5s or 20s. Let's see, we're doing $50 in here every 2 weeks. Take the envelope with you to the grocery store, and you have your phone with you. Use a calculator. Do not go over the $50. If your mom does couponing and you want her to get you something, you know, and you don't want to stand in the line and do the couponing yourself, maybe she'll get your groceries for you, kind of give her a list or whatever. But I'm telling you, it's better if you go, because you know what you like, you know what you're going to eat and what you're not going to eat. And go to YouTube, watch some of the extreme shoppers that do $10 will feed me for a week or something. Do that, and you can see where people just they make it work. So go in and check out your sales also. Don't go in blind. Look for the sales and look for which stores to go to for the sales. Learn how to cook, you guys. So anyway, put your grocery money in here. If you have leftover, again, don't use it for something else. Let it build. You know, maybe at the end of the month you have an extra, you know, little bit of money in there, and you decide, I'm going to throw a cookout. You have the money there for a cookout, and you don't have to come up with money elsewhere. Taking it out of your entertainment, or definitely don't take it out of your emergency. Okay, so entertainment is your next envelope. You want to put your money in entertainment. What is it? The first 2 weeks it's going to be $29, and the second 2 weeks it's going to be $49. I'm going to tell you a little tip. When you go out, okay, maybe you don't want to be uncool and you don't want to take this envelope, but take the money out of this envelope and put it in your wallet, and do yourself a favor. Take your debit card and put it in this envelope. And then after the night's over, take your debit card back out of the envelope and put whatever is left back in this envelope. What you have to remember is that first 2 weeks, that's $29 for the entire 2 weeks. So you want to be really careful with that, what you do on those first 2 weeks, because you don't want to blow through that $29 and then, you know, break into your groceries or something, because that's never a good thing, especially for entertainment. Because what you have to remember about entertainment, yes, you are getting value out of it, because yes, everybody needs to de-stress, but in the long run, it's just blowing money, and you want to be careful with that. So it's not saying that you can't go out and have fun. It's just remember that in 2 weeks, you're going to get $49 to be able to go and blow and do whatever you want to do. So just keep that in mind, and always leave your debit card at home, because that thing gets you in trouble I'm, if I have my debit card, I'm less apt to keep track because I know I have money in the account. If I only have a certain amount of cash, I'm going to get my calculator out at the grocery store, or I'm going to pay attention to how much my concessions are at the movies, or I know how much money I have in my hand, and I don't want to be embarrassed by not having enough money. So do yourself a favor, leave your debit card at home, and then that way you have to be mindful. Okay. And then last but certainly not least is emergency fund. Again, this is very important. The emergency fund is very important, especially if you have a parent, say you're in college and your parents are, a few hours away or even across the country, or and something happens back home and you have to get there very fast. You're going to have an emergency fund that you can get in, that you can break into, so then that way you're not completely totaled by an emergency, or a blowout on a tire. You don't have enough left over in your maintenance fund, but you have an emergency fund. The other thing is, especially if you are in college or in a dorm or have roommates, get yourself a safe. You can go to Walmart and buy one of those little safes for like $30. Russ and I, this has become one of our go-to graduation gifts. We almost always buy any graduate a little safe, because it is important to have that, because if you're going to be sitting with these envelopes with cash in them, you don't want them just lying all over the house where it's easy access to somebody that is hard up on cash or something. So just basically keeping honest people honest, right? Take care of your money, take care of yourself, get on a budget. Even if this isn't the budget that you use, research, find the one that works for you, and stick to it, because you will be so glad you did in the long run. Anyway, you guys, I feel like I have talked for hours, and I am so sorry if I bored you to death. I hope this helps. I hope you like this video, and hopefully this method works for you. It works for me. Ours is a little different just because our pay isn't so steady, and our we get paid by invoice, and it's a whole different ball game. But if you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments, or if you have any questions, if I didn't go over something enough, or you need more clarification, please ask, because I will definitely make another video, or I will just answer you in the comments. Like I said, comment, and we'll go from there. But anyway, I hope you subscribe. I hope you hit the like button. I hope this Tidbit Tuesday was very helpful, and share with your friends. So anyway, that's all I have for today. God bless.